Rich Eisen talking about the New Orleans Saints going 2-0 after the win Monday night at Carolina. This is interesting to me because Rich is not a New Orleans media guy. He's giving us an unbiased look at how the outside sports media looks at the New Orleans Saints. A lot of who we react to and a lot of what we say here is in the trenches, right? We're talking about and listening to people who are so tuned into this team that sometimes it can get a little complicated. Okay, so sometimes you got to take 20 steps back and listen to someone who's not as tuned in and hear what they see. So Rich, take it away.
The New Orleans Saints, I honestly don't know what to make of them. Here's what I make of them. Here's what I make of them, and that's all that matters. Is they're 2-0. They're 2-0.
That's right. You are what your record is.
And Derek Carr, he didn't light it up against Tennessee, but I don't know how many teams are gonna. Although I guess Justin Herbert threw for over 300 yards against him.
I believe Carr got over 300 against Tennessee, but I'll let him keep going. I'll give Rich some time to talk.
But that defense, man, you tell me, guys, in the last 5-10 years, or I guess since Cam Jordan's been playing, let's put it that way, what has been the most underrated defensive unit that puts the bang thing on people?
It really is kind of wild because the Saints have always been, like, the narrative is that they're a high-powered offense. Sean Payton, Drew Brees, all these touchdowns, all these yards, they're going to score you up and down the field, 40 points game, 30-point game, Monday Night Football, be ready because the Saints are dropping 35 points on you. For a long time now, the Saints have been one of the most consistently good defensive teams in the NFL. This is going to sound weird, but we should be thought of like the Steelers, the Ravens, teams like that. Teams that are these like gritty, tough, defensive, you're not going to run on us. We're going to lay the wood. We're going to lay the lumber. The defensive backs are looking to hit you. The defensive line is coming after you. That's what the Saints really have been for the better part of, certainly the better part of like 6 years. And even if you go further back. But since that season, the 2018-ish season there, whenever Lattimore got there, whenever Lattimore and that whole kind of group got together, that's when it just became nuts. And they're doing it again. They're doing it again where they are elite, but because they don't have a Micah Parsons or a TJ Watt or even a Myles Garrett or a Bosa or someone that people can hone in on, because of that, they do get kind of forgotten about with how good defensively the Saints are.
With consistency, right? No one
ever talks about them.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
Because we're talking about the Cowboys defense and the Niners defense, and then you talk about, I guess, what the Chiefs defense did, Steelers defense, what they just did on Monday night. And I don't know why I thought differently. I just thought Carolina at home is just going to try and do something special. But then as soon as I saw a couple
well, here's the issue. Like, another thing, too, I'm really hard on like rookie quarterbacks, young quarterbacks, because they're bad. Because they are always bad. I saw a stat the other day. It was like in the last, I don't know the years, but it was like rookie quarterbacks are 1-13 or something in the last 14 starts. They just struggle. And we talked about this a little bit in a previous video. They struggle because they were in college 3 months ago. They struggle because it's a new team, it's a new playbook, it's a new stadium, it's a new coaching staff, it's new everything. They're going to struggle. We might see a shift back to quarterbacks sitting more. But Carolina, like teams like that, for some reason the media loves it. They're like, oh, finally, let's see what Bryce Young can do. Bryce Young probably needs to use the GPS just to get to the stadium. Finally, we get to see C.J. Stroud suit up for Houston. Is he going to throw it all over the place? He might know 10% of the playbook right now. They're still signing leases on their apartments. Like, they're still trying to get moved in. And the media is just so fast to anoint these guys. It's like, all right, finally, we get to see blank player. play in the NBA or the NFL. Jeez, the NFL. It just never works. So I don't blame Rich, but yeah, I think everyone could see those struggles from Bryce Young and Carolina a million miles away. With that being said, it's not that the Saints are that much better. And that's what I've been screaming about all week, is that Bryce Young looked terrible. Bryce Young is a rookie quarterback. He's supposed to look terrible. The playbook is shrunk. He doesn't know how to get to the arena. He doesn't even know the key code on the front of his apartment complex. Yet, you could argue he was better Monday night than Derek Carr. You know, the Saints are an interesting team because we had, and we still do have, huge aspirations. NFC Championship, Super Bowl, division title, playoffs, all that stuff. But now there's that like PTSD seeping in. That PTSD of, damn, are we about to be hamstrung again with an offense that can't move the ball? Is that about to happen again? I was just having this conversation today. Someone told me to rank the top 10 NFC teams. And the pre-made list that we were talking about had the Buccaneers and the Falcons ahead of the Saints. And I said, if you were totally unbiased and had no clue what was going on and didn't watch anything, and you just looked at the numbers, you probably would have Atlanta and Tampa ahead of the Saints. Now here, we know the Saints very well. I think they'll be better than Tampa and Atlanta. But here's a stat that's interesting. I'm going to blow y'all's mind. The New York Giants were beat 41-0 in the first week of the NFL. Right now, everyone's played 2 games. Filming this on a Wednesday. The New York Giants were beat 41-0 or 40-0, whatever it was, in the first week. They have scored 5 less points this season than the Saints. Now you may say, well, what about the Saints' elite defense? What about this generational defense? The Saints' defense has given up right now, I believe it's 32 points. The Falcons and the Bucks, both those defenses have given up 34 points. Right? So if you look at it just like that, you don't cover the team that much, you may not see this insane defense. Because if you look at just the points given up and stuff like that, it's kind of on par with the Bucks and the Falcons. And of course, you can go into the who you're playing against, but playing against Tennessee and Carolina, it's not like we were playing against the Bengals and the Chiefs. You look at the offense, and you see, damn, they've only scored 36 points this season. Then you see the points forced, points allowed differential, +4. Like, So I can understand why analytically the Saints may be a confusing team.
I texted the Game Day Morning group. I don't care. I'll throw him out there. I texted the Game Day Morning group at the outset of the Monday Night Football game between Carolina and the Saints. I'm like, am I lone wolfing the Panthers? And I got a text back from Luke Lasourde, our producer. He wrote, yes, you are. And Mooch wrote back one word, idiot.
Get him, Mooch. Get him.
Idiot is what Mooch wrote back.
Aggressive.
Very. Certainly for Mooch. And I saw the way Bryce Young was struggling. And I thought to myself, yeah, idiot. That there's no way Cam Jordan and these other prideful defenders with the fleur-de-lis on the side of their helmet would ever let a rookie quarterback beat them. Despite it being a Monday night at home and his home debut, his parents there and all that sort of stuff, he did on occasion just hold the ball way too long. And the Saints...
I mean, he was bad. Like we've said, Bryce Young was bad. He to me, is well behind the other rookie quarterbacks, I think, playing right now.
They've got some playmakers, man. Michael Thomas looked... I'm going higher register with him, but he looked like the can't guard Mike.
He did. Yeah.
I think that's interesting too. And we like the whole, the Saints have some playmakers over there. Are we on like the 4th page of the printout and they just don't read that? Like how is Michael Thomas, Chris Olave, I know he's not playing right now, but Alvin Kamara, like how are these people getting lost? It blows my mind when the same people are looking at the Patriots and they're like, well, I mean, they have Ramondre Stevenson and Kendrick Bourne. No offense to either one of those guys, but they haven't done anything. Michael Thomas set a season record for catches. Offensive Player of the Year. Chris Olave could have been Rookie of the Year. And Chris Olave isn't getting a 12th of the coverage that Garrett Wilson's getting. And Garrett Wilson has Zach Wilson thrown to him. Not related. I don't know what it is. It might be the NFC South, because I've seen a ton of NFC South stuff coming out this week where it's like, not familiar with the NFC South? These teams are 2-0. Or NFC South surprising you by these teams being 2-0. Like, do people just not get the NFC South teams? Do they just not watch those games? It's wild because I watch every game. I watch every team, every game, every division. I don't even think about it. AFC West, to me, is the same as the AFC North. I'm watching the games. But I guess some people in some markets flat out do not watch the NFC South. Flat out don't watch them. The NFC, the Buccaneers, same thing. Before the season, when I said I don't think they'll be that bad, people are saying the Bears are going to win 7 games. You look at the Bears, okay, who were the worst team in the NFL last year, had the first overall pick until they traded it away. And all of a sudden, everyone in the world, go ahead and YouTube it, type in Justin Fields MVP. You have people all offseason telling me that Justin Fields was going to be an MVP candidate. The Bears were going to win the North. The Bears were going to win 8 games. And you look at the Bears, who have, DJ Moore and Chase Claypool, LOL, who I don't think has caught a pass since he got traded to the Bears. Who would you rather have, those guys or Chris Godwin and Mike Evans? Like the Buccaneers, people keep saying, I can't believe they're 2-0. Who would you rather have? Justin Fields, DJ Moore, and Chase Claypool, or Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Baker Mayfield? And even if it's close, exactly. Even if you're like, well, that's kind of a toss-up. Yeah, it kind of is. But 2 months ago, we were being told Tampa Bay was going to be tanking. I did a reaction video on this channel with people saying, is Tampa tanking? And my response was, you can't tank with a roster that's talented. Like, that's not a roster you tank with. Arizona's a roster you tank with. Hell, Chicago might be a roster you tank with. But it's crazy. It's like the NFC North or NFC South is somehow the island of misfit toys.
Olave making that catch.
That catch was
kind of
amazing.
tipped it to himself. Yeah. So nice.
With his one arm being held.
Yeah, smooth.
Raheed Shaheed, everybody.
One deep ball game for him.
And the one from last night wrapped it. Taysom Hill. Taysom it is still doing his thing. Yeah. And Alvin Kamara is coming back in 2 weeks. And then you look at the Saints moving on from here.
Oh my God! If Rich brings up the schedule, he's confirmed a subscriber to the channel. If he brings up the schedule, he's confirmed Rich, go in the comments. Rich, make yourself known. Type in the comments. I want to see you, Rich. I'm looking for your comments. I'll be replying.
What a huge game in Week 3. Jordan Love's home debut for the right to go 3-0, or for the Packers to go 2-1. And then New Orleans is home for Tampa. Baker Mayfield coming into that house.
And the Patriots or the Texans?
At New England, at Houston, Patriots, and then boom. A Thursday night against Jack.
A different level. Just rattling off. No notes, no nothing. Just, who we play? I think it's New England, then Houston. Bop, bop. Look at these guys. I know this is old news because we talked about this at great lengths. But look at the quarterbacks we are facing. We're going to count the Carolina game. Bryce Young, Jordan Love, Baker Mayfield, Mac Jones, CJ Stroud, Trevor Lawrence, Anthony Richardson, Justin Fields, Kirk Cousins, by Desmond Ridder, Jared Goff, Bryce Young again, Daniel Jones, Matt Stafford if he's playing in Week 16, Baker Mayfield, and Desmond Ridder. Unreal. And you can throw Ryan Tannehill in there even though we already played. Unbelievable how soft the schedule is just from the quarterbacks. And I've had a lot of people tell me, and this is something that blows my mind, we're just having a conversation. When people are like, there's no such thing as an easy schedule in the NFL. Every game in the NFL is tough. Guys, listen. I'm not sure what planet, like, I'm not sure how this is getting lost in translation. If teams are better and worse, which they are, then if you agree to that certain teams are better than other teams, then you have to agree that certain schedules are harder than other schedules. And if some are harder and some are less hard, then there has to be a scale. So there has to be an easier and a more difficult. If you believe that teams are not equal, thus you have to believe that there is an easy and a hard schedule. I understand it's the NFL. I understand they're all professionals. I understand nothing's given. But there are bad teams, there are good teams. Thus, there are easy and hard schedules. And newsflash, we have the easiest schedule in the NFL. The quarterbacks we face, ridiculously easy. And I had people ask me, how do you weight strength of schedule? A lot of people do it the wrong way. A lot of people weight it by the winning percentage of the previous season. That's probably how the most of the mass media, I think that's ESPN's open with how that's how they do it. Strength of schedule the previous season, or winning percentage the previous season. I don't do it like that because obviously teams change, players change, personnel change, coaches change, whatever. The way I do it is you take a weighted blend of your opponent's projected win totals from Las Vegas, because they're usually pretty close. They're not going to be perfect, but they're usually pretty close. So if you look at your schedule and you've got a ton of teams that are supposed to win 3.5 games, 4.5 games, 5.5 games, no teams that are supposed to really win over like 10 games, you can assume you've got a pretty easy schedule. You can assume you have a really simple schedule. Another way you could do it is take like Super Bowl odds, things like that, and kind of blend that into your strength of schedule, which again, we would be in a pretty easy spot. You could also then go a little further and do like a consensus blend of power rankings. So you could look at like a lot like PFF, an analytical company like that, or DVOA, and you get the power rankings and then you kind of blend that in. If you do all that, you're going to get a great idea of a true strength of schedule. And no matter what you do, we have one of the easiest we have the easiest schedule in the NFL. One of the easiest schedules I think the NFL has ever created. Ever.
Jacksonville. These are some winnable games, folks. These are some winnable games. And so the Saints, Derek Carr, 2-0. The run game isn't even where it needs to be yet, or because Kamara's coming back.
Yeah, you can't even judge it. You can't judge the run game. Kamara's not there. You can't judge the running game off of a practice squad player. You know, you can't say, well, we're running for 2.5 yards a carry. That's probably going to change when Kamara's there.
Michael Thomas looks, him and Olave doing their thing. And defensively, man, they just put the bang thing elite on Bryce Young and looked him in the face and said, you, sir, are not in the SEC anymore. And dropped a house on him like he was the Wicked Witch.
Saints could be the best defense in the NFL. They could be. And all you'll hear about is Dallas. All you'll hear about is San Francisco. The Saints might be the best defense in the NFL. And that's not hyperbole, not a biased opinion. They might be the most well-rounded. That might be them. You know, so I mean, if you have that level of a defense, you certainly have a shot. 2 questions. We got 2. Pete Carmichael, Derek Carr. That's it. We're there. We're there, ladies and gentlemen. At this point in the season, we've got those 2 questions. Can Pete Carmichael and the offensive scheme and the play calling and all of that sort itself out? And can Derek Carr play at a top 10-ish quarterback level? If those 2 things can happen, it's right there. It is right there. We're 2-0. I know this week y'all have heard a lot of commentary about, you know, the Monday night game was not impressive, which it was not, but it's right there. We are, if we put together, if we go to Green Bay and we win convincingly and our offense looks good and we get a good performance from Derek Carr, you're going to hear a whole lot of people picking the Saints to win the NFC. Whole lot of people. Especially if we take care of business that first division, when we play Tampa or Atlanta or that first real kind of show of the division, because I'm not counting Carolina. Right there, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think? How are people forgetting about the NFC South? How are they forgetting about the Saints? How do you feel? Thank you for watching. Thank you for all the support. I appreciate it. And I will see you in the next video.